Okay, I think we are having good enough people, and also we are already 5 minutes past the scheduled time. So I will start. Before I start, I will just quickly introduce myself in case you are not aware of me. So my name is Apurv, and I have close to 10 years of experience in throughout in front end. And last year I was working with Adobe. Currently, I'm working with a company called Procore. You might not have heard of it, but I work there as a staff front end engineer over there, and I lead the front end web platform front end team. So yeah, that's a brief about me. In today's session, I am going to cover the system design, front end system design for the news feed. Okay, so when I say news feed, it's like if you go to Facebook and you have feed, right? If you go to Twitter, there's a feed of posts, LinkedIn, Reddit, anything that you guys use, there's always a feed where you can see different posts. They can be images, videos, and then there are comments. So that's exactly what we are trying to understand the front end design of. So yeah, let me quickly share my screen. Are we recording this? I will not let you know now because I want you guys to focus. And if I say I'm recording, people will not focus. So you'll know if I'm recording or not. Let me share my screen. Okay. I hope my screen is visible. Are you able to see the excalidraw blank page?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for the confirmation. Cool. So we will follow the radio framework. I'm not sure how many of you attended my previous system design 101 session, but no worries if you have not attended. That's not a major issue. I mean, it will be beneficial if you had, but we'll cover the framework that is usually used for any front-end system design interviews. So basically, the framework is like the radio framework. I'll just write it down over here. Radio. Actually, let's do it like this. R is for requirements, architecture, data model, interface, interface, and O is for optimizations. Okay, so let me enlarge for you guys. So, yeah, I hope it's better. So yeah, this is the model that you need to follow when you are giving any front-end system design interview. So we'll start with requirements, and so whenever you are given any kind of question like this, so what you need to do first? Let me. Someone is trying to join. So what you need to do first is to come up with all possible requirements that you can think of. Okay. So now one more thing in this entire call, I want it to be discussion, not just a lecture. So I would like you guys to participate. Don't worry if you think that whatever you're going to say is wrong. There is nobody judging you. It's not an interview. If you participate, it's better for you. So yeah, let's start with the requirements. So I want you guys to tell me what would be the requirements for newsfeed. Let me give that the title. Newsfeed. You can put it in chat also. It's fine. System design.
Is it like text only or like images and videos also?
So yeah, currently you can tell me any requirements. We are currently discussing all the requirements. We'll then come to what we will focus and discuss. We'll narrow down the scope. For now, you can tell me anything that you can think of when you think of newsfeed.
News based on the region should be given more priority.
No, it's not. It's not actually news. It news feed meaning it's like your uh, Facebook posts or Twitter posts or LinkedIn posts. It's basically any post feed. It's called as news feed, but it's like posts.
Okay.
So, what kind of relative feeds I will be able to see? So, I mean, there are the connection, right? I mean, hierarchy of the connections, right? First level, I mean, mutual friends, all these things, right? So,
Yeah, yeah. That would go more into backend ones, backend system design. But you can just assume here that like immediate friends. That is fine. But I'm talking about in terms of front end. What kind of requirements do you think?
Mm, how to load large amount of data, whether we want go with some ritual scrolling or
Now,
infinite scrolling.
now you're what you're doing. You're jumping into the optimization part. So we are talking about requirements. So let me list a couple of them so you guys will get understand. So one thing that will be there is like posts. Okay. Then there will be comments in the posts. Then there will be like images in the posts. Uh, in posts. There can be video in posts nowadays, like if it's Instagram feed. So uh,
reactions,
yeah, reactions. Yes, reactions like other emojis, whichever we allow. What else?
sharing post,
Yes, sharing. Correct. Anything else? Anyone can think?
save post or watch for later, something kind of that.
Save post. Nice. Yes. Yeah, coming with very good requirements.
Do we have blocking feature?
Blocking. Okay, that would be a user level requirement. So not particularly applicable for our newsfeed. But
Can we have hashtags?
yeah, have hashtags. Okay, I think we have good amount of requirements. Now, this is what you need to do in actual interview. You have to tell all the requirements that you can think of. Okay. Then you ask the interviewer, what are we going to focus on? What are our core user interactions? Okay. So, but first you need to list all the requirements that you can think, so that so that the interviewer understands that you do know about different UI applications. That knowledge is also tested during these interviews. That if someone says what is newsfeed, you understand what is it. Someone says what is like a text editor. If someone wants to do a text editor system design now, so you should list everything. That okay, should we allow all kind of formatting, inline formatting, block formatting, code formatting? Then is it like real time, collaborative? So basically, you have to come up with all the requirements that you can think of for whatever the prompt is. This is known as prompt. Like newsfeed is your prompt for the question. Just like now we give prompt to AI for interviews, the interviewer will give you some prompt, newsfeed or anything, email outlook or something like that. Uh, so based on the prompt, you have to vomit out all the requirements that you know, but quickly. No, don't take much time. Just quickly, you need to vomit out all the requirements that you can think. Then you can ask the interviewer, okay, now out of these, what are the core user interactions that we are going to focus on? Okay, because if you directly ask, okay, what do you want to focus on, or what shall we focus on, that doesn't uh, come out well. That means you are asking the interviewer everything. It should be you who should be giving, okay, this is what I can think, now tell me what should we focus on, because in 45-50 minutes what you can cover max, that only you can tell, right? So now let's narrow down our requirements. So core user interactions. So what I would say is, let's say posts should be there, and posts for now, let's just cover for text and images. Okay. Then, in terms of pagination, you can ask that like what kind of pagination do we want? Do we want them to have like buttons where we say one page number one, two, three, and then the next button, those kind of pagination, or do we want infinite scrolling? There's this genuine question you can ask. So let's focus on infinite scrolling because usually that's how we have, right? But if you see B2B applications, they don't have mostly pagination. So they will mostly not have infinite scroll. They might have pagination. So it's better to ask these kind of questions.
Adding a new post.
Yeah, creating a new post. Yes, creating a new post. Create a new post. Okay. So let's say we can even add like reactions. Let's just say we are focusing on like as of now. So let's narrow down to this. Now, see, for your knowledge and all, video kind of how do we handle video or how do we handle comments, we might cover this in separate system design interviews where I would teach all those things. But for this newsfeed, let's focus on only these. And even in an interview, you cannot focus much on anything else. So you need to narrow it down to three, five, four, max five, 3 to 5 core user interactions, and always prioritize it so that let's say you narrowed down five, but you were only able to discuss three. So you can even ask the interviewer, let's tell me the core user interaction based on the priority, so that whatever he wants to know or he wants to understand is first. Okay, so that's another thing. So now this is what we'll cover all these things in this session. That's not an issue. Okay, so now that you have narrowed down the requirements, these are what kind of requirements are these? Can someone tell me if they are aware?
Functional
Functional
requirements.
requirements, exactly. So this is defining the functionality of your app, okay, or functionality of your component. So basically, one more thing, there are two kind of system designs. One is your application, and one is your component. They can ask you like drop down, modal, multi-select. These kind of system design can also happen. Those are like component system designs. These are like application system design. So always you need to first talk about the functional requirements, then you can come up with the non-functional requirements. So let's discuss about the non-functional requirements. Okay, what you can think of? Tell me. I think someone mentioned about uh, optimization part. Can you repeat again? That will come under your non-functional.
Yeah, so we need to go with infinite scrolling or
Hmm.
virtual scrolling.
Yes.
And what are the devices we need to support?
Hmm.
Whether it's mobile, uh, desktop.
Got it. So this and then yeah, good question. Yeah, this is also a very good question that you should ask. So whenever you're asking for core user interaction, always ask clarifying questions like these. Which he has mentioned that are we going to focus only on desktop or we are going to make it responsible for phone, tablets, and all those stuff. So I did not discuss that, but thanks for bringing that up. So let's say we are doing for let's say only desktop or laptop. That's virtualization. If you're not aware what it is, we'll discuss. But yeah, it's for your performance for infinite scroll. It's for performance. We'll discuss in this session itself. Anything else? What other non-functional requirements?
Yeah.
Caching.
Accessibility.
Yeah, when someone mentioned caching and accessibility, yes, both are very good. Uh,
Offline support.
offline support, yes, awesome. Cool. So let's keep this for now. Okay. And let's move ahead. So this was your requirement section. Okay. Uh, list down everything that you know about that particular application or component. Then ask the user some clarifying questions and jot down the core user interactions based on the priority. And then note down the non-functional requirements. That's a first requirement section. Now, second is our architecture. in which you have to come up with a very high level architecture. Okay, don't go deep into component APIs and data flow and all those things. It's very high level architecture. So now let's here where you usually draw diagrams and stuff. So let me start with that. I'll create a basic thing and then I'll ask you guys how we should about this. So we'll have one client for sure, which is our browser, and then we'll have our server, which I'll just represent with one box. Why is it not coming? Just does anyone know this? What's the issue over here? Oh, it's okay. Got it. It's overlapping. That's fine. No, it's not overlapping. Client and server. Okay, so what we are going to do is usually there's a pattern which is known as model view controller. If you can fit the your system design in model view controller, it's best. Okay, it's a very old pattern, and it's a very battle tested pattern. So if you can try to fit your application in MVC pattern, you should definitely do that. Now let me talk about what it is. So model is your data source. Okay, whatever your data is going to be, like the post data or whatever user is going to create, is the user input data. So that's your model. Okay, and your controller is basically the part which interacts with server, client UI actually, and then it basically is a bridge between your actual view layer and the backend. So that will be a controller, and view is your actual view UI. Okay, so let's again add those part. So first, this will be your view. I think I can just add it here. Like this. Okay, so this is your view, and in that you will have two components. Uh, One is for your posts, and another is for composer. Composer meaning where you create the post. So when I say post, it is listing and seeing all the posts, and compose is where you create the posts. And okay, so I have showed you client view. Now there will be a controller, and then there will be a data store on your client side, which will be either a Redux or whatever state management that we discuss going forward. Data store. So controller will be the layer which will help us interact between all of these things. Data store will not directly interact with your view. Data store will not directly interact with the server. Server will not directly interact with the view. It will be the controller part. Okay. So I can put it like this, and fetch or submit data. So fetch for getting all the posts and submitting for getting a new post. And again for this, store or get data. Okay, this is a little weird. Can I? Yes, I can. Oops. Store or get data. So it will actually it will get the data from the server and it will store it in the Redux or anywhere, and also it will store it from the user input, and when it needs get data, it will get the data. And then we have this part. Let me also move it a little here. And here it will be update UI. And like even from composer it will be like getting the data. So I can do one more. And input actually. So this will be your overall architecture, and make sure whenever you doing any diagram based architecture, okay, in during the interview, it's quick. You have to be doing this fast, because usually whenever we are doing diagrams and stuff, we lose our time, and then uh, you don't have time to discuss actual things. So just do it very quickly. And one more advice is that have practice with some kind of an diagramming tool, anyone, excalidraw or whatever, lucid chart or whatever you feel like that you can use, because usually interviewer will allow you to use anything. Okay, and even if they have hacker rank platform, even in that whiteboard, it is, I think, based on excalidraw, because I have given interviews in, they have asked to use the hacker ranks whiteboard, and it feels same like excalidraw. Maybe they are using it under it. So make yourself familiar with any one diagramming tool, so that during interviews you don't have to, okay, well, how do I do this, how do I do this, don't panic regarding that. So yeah, this is your overall very high level architecture. And in the server, you just have to mention server, nothing else. Okay. Now going forward, when we discuss, you can come and modify these diagrams. I'll tell you one part where we have not yet discussed is that uh, we will need to do real time updates over here, because whenever someone is posting, someone is liking, it has to be real time. So for real time updates, we have to describe that in this diagram, how actually we are going to achieve. So that also should be one of the requirements. So we can add it in, I think we can add it in NFR, uh, or yeah, I think in any way is fine. Some requirements are such like that it can be in functional, it can be non-functional, but yeah, you can put real time updates.
Apoor, can you repeat what is functional and non-functional?
Sure. Functional meaning that it is actually describing your functionality of your app. Like here we have posts, text, images, infinite scroll, creating a new post, reactions. You're basically defining the requirements of your application. Non-functional is like uh, it's nothing to do with the user. User doesn't care about it. It's not, user will never know of these requirements. It is your engineering requirements, like virtualization, what kind of app, what kind of devices are we going to support, are we caching, are we supporting accessibility, do we have offline support, are we going to do real time updates. User doesn't care about it. So that's what your NFR.
Can we say it like direct involvement of user?
Yeah, something like that. Direct involvement nahi, but like it basically, user can see something or experience something, those are your function. And otherwise everything is non-functional. And there is no hard and fast requirements. Sometimes people will add this mobile responsiveness and real-time updates in functional requirement. It's totally up to the interviewer, like there is nothing hard and fast as such. But usually for me, I discriminate like this. Differentiate, not discriminate. So,
Thank you.
thank you. So now this is your high level architecture. Any questions in this high level architecture? No. Okay. Going forward. So now next thing that we need to discuss in the architecture itself is how are you going to render the data. the rendering pattern that we are going to use. So can someone tell me what are the different? Okay, you have some hand raised. You can speak.
Yeah, so in the architecture, I don't think we are handling caching anywhere.
Yeah, currently we have not mentioned about caching here. We can update it going forward. Yeah, this is a very high level. We have not mentioned about caching. Yeah. No, we'll add it.
Okay.
So can you guys tell me about the different rendering patterns that you guys are aware of?
Client side, server side.
Yes, yes.
Static site generation.
Static site regeneration. So let's see CSR, SSR, site rendering, static site SSG. I would say. Regeneration. Anything else you guys are aware of? Any other patterns? So I'll mention a
Like a hybrid, like mix of both. Yeah.
yeah, hybrid can be there, but yeah, in terms of I'm talking about individual ones. So there is one was which is known as ISR, incremental static regeneration. I did discuss about all these in my 101 system design 101, but I'm giving you these names so that you can Google these after on your own, so that you're aware of these patterns also. So mainly, so let's discuss about what is SSR. Like, can someone tell me what is SSR and why would you need SSR? In which use case you would need SSR?
So basically, so in SSR, we will generate the content from the backend, that is the HTML, everything from the backend, and we will render it in the front end. So when we actually need this SSR is like if you are doing some, um, so in Google they will
For
for
SEO,
market,
basically.
yeah,
SEO.
yeah, SEO. So SEO optimization. So SSR will be helpful.
Got it. Got it. Good. Good. Thanks for the input. So I'll just elaborate on that. So your SEO meaning your search engine optimization. If you want your content to be easily discoverable by people using any kind of search engines or AI engines nowadays, so then you need to use server side render application. Now someone can tell me why can't we do client side, or can someone tell me what is client side?
When everything is like generated on the client side, that is, I mean, on the client side framework, Angular or React, on the
Hmm.
HTML, the metadata. The problem with client side is when user is searching on for the user Google or any search engine, it won't show up. It won't generate the metadata that helps the website or application to list in the beginning or in the few search results.
Yes, yes, correct, correct. Now, what is it that is actually stopping client-side rendered application to be ranking in these search engine uh, lists? Can someone tell me?
Like, in the client
Metadata.
side, we'll have only one HTML, and we are just keep on updating the UI because it is a single page application. Meanwhile, in the server side, each and every page view comes as a separate HTML package with its own metadata.
Correct. So in your client-side application, usually if you see, you will have one HTML file and couple of JavaScript bundles. So when there is a what is it, crawler that the search engine people use, so they will parse the HTML. They will ignore JavaScript. They are not going to evaluate your JavaScript. They are not going to run your JavaScript and find what other pages it is. So if you have only one HTML page, and that's all the content that the search engine can see. But if it is a server side rendered application, then you have all your HTML pages available, and then the crawler can see all the data, and accordingly it will rank, or it will have positive impact on your search engine optimization. So now you tell me, news feed like Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, what kind of application needs does it have? SSR or CSR?
In the current scenario, like our application is not based on ads and also I think client side is also fine. I mean,
Mhm.
since it's a web application, not a B2B or product page, so we don't need scrollers to uh, scan our website or application.
Correct. Any other input?
I think server side,
Hmm.
because even though the
Hmm.
news feeds are particular to a user,
Hmm.
the way how I see it works, Instagram, Facebook, or
Hmm.
anything. Even if you put the hashtag, and anything, the results comes up from the news feed into our search engine results.
Yes. So, yes, ideally speaking, whenever we are talking about news feed, that means that content we want discoverable, because people who are posting stuff anywhere, there is a good content that other people might want to see. So it is a good use case for server side rendering. Okay, but I think we heard good arguments from both the sides. So thanks for your input, guys, because this is what I want in the discussion, that both perspectives are there, and then we can make an informed decision that exactly this is what we need. So I'm really liking that how we are having this session. This is one of the most interactive session, I'm telling you, for myself at least. So keep the momentum going on. So here we what we need is something that is discoverable, because usually if you see people write content, they write sometimes blog post kind of content. Even I do a lot of content creation on LinkedIn, if you guys are aware. So I would want that kind of content to be discovered by search engines. And in general, that is what even the platform like LinkedIn and news, Facebook want. So that's why it has to be SSR. But there is one more catch, that there's a lot of client side interactivity is also there, because whenever you do SSR, it will generate the content, but it will do hydration later. Now, what is hydration? Hydration is basically adding the event listeners, because in the server side, all it can do is generate a static HTML. Only the browser itself can add the event listeners and stuff. So this hydration is an issue. So that's why in this case we have to use a hybrid kind of approach, which someone had actually alluded to earlier, that we have to use a hybrid of SSR and CSR over here. So for the initial page, for the post page, we can go ahead and use SSR. But let's say for interactions, and if we are not covering comments here, but for comments and stuff, we can use CSR. So there will be a hybrid approach over here. And this is how you have to have your discussion in the actual interview. You list down all the rendering patterns, then you discuss the pros and cons of a couple of them, not each one of them, but couple of them. You can clearly say SSG and IS are not applicable for this. We'll be focusing on CSR, SSR, and then you can discuss, and then you can talk about it. I'll tell you one thing that separates senior engineers from staff engineers is the one is depth of knowledge, second is reasoning. Okay, and one more thing I would like to add is that there is no right or wrong answer. You can even go ahead and say, I will just use SSR, CSR doesn't make sense, it's just newsfeed, we are talking about this feature, it doesn't make sense to add CSR. But you have to have a valid supporting argument, or valid supporting reason, justifiable reason for that. You have to somehow convince the interviewer. Okay, that is the thing. There is no right or wrong system design. News feed can be architected in multiple ways, 5 to 10 different ways. It's up to you, how are you able to convince the interviewer that okay, this is the reason that I'm going to choose this. Okay, and it has to be on some logical argument, and not something that I have used this and in my personal view I have seen this. That argument is done by like someone who's transitioning to mid level or senior. But if you're going for senior to staff, this is not going to work. Okay, so your personal anecdotes are fine, but in general you have to have very vast knowledge. Okay, that really helps. Just Cool. So now we have discussed rendering pattern. Now we can go and discuss about the third part. So basically in architecture, this is what we want to cover: the overall architecture, what are the different parts of it, and rendering pattern also, because it applied to this particular application. Now we go to the next, which is our data model. Okay. Now, someone might think, or even I used to think, that why are we not talking about virtualization and all those stuff over here? We'll talk about that in the optimization part. If you want, you can discuss this here also. It is nothing. See, radio framework is for you to remember, okay, what do I need to cover in my interview? But you can move around things. That is totally up to you. Okay, but always begin with requirements for sure. and then architecture, and then other stuff. But if you want to move particular parts of optimizations in the architecture, go ahead. Totally up to you. Even in fact, I would do that. I am asked newsfeed, I will definitely talk about virtualization as fast as I can. But in this session, we will cover it at the later stage. Yeah, let's talk about the data model section. What do you guys understand by data model? What do you think are we going to talk about in here? The way the
Defining the entities, like
correct.
if it's a get request or a post request, how what type of data are we expecting? What's the interface, like string or
So
something?
you are partially correct. Entities we will definitely discuss, but the interface, the post get, that will be discussed in the interface section. We have radio I. So yep. I think someone else also was going to say something. If you want to say no, okay, cool. So basically, here we will define the entities. Okay, and if you guys are aware of database, you would be more able to uh, have relate with it, that what are actual entities in your database. So basically, you will have some post, so let's say table, or a feed table and a user table. But you don't have to discuss the tables over here. I'm just giving you an analogy, that is what you need to discuss over here. Okay, your entities. So one of our entities will be like the feed. Okay, and then we have to tell like what kind of fields it will have. So we can just do like this, uh, feed equals to, it's the format doesn't matter. I'm just giving you. So it will have our posts, okay, and then it will have the pagination data, basically, like where are currently in our list of posts where we are currently. So I think this should be fine for the feed part. Anything else anyone think can be added over here?
The likes, comments.
Like I think that will belong to post, not the feed.
Okay.
So I think overall, I think this is what we can have in post, in the feeds. Now we can discuss about post. So here we will have the ID. Then we will have the. I'm talking about metadata. Let me put it in metadata actually, so that you guys clearly differentiate. Metadata. Let's say ID. Uh,
User create time.
yes, author, um, created at, modified at, like if we are giving them the capability of updating, then we have to modify that. Apart from that, this is the or mostly the metadata. Please feel free to stop me and add me, like add if you want to add something. Other than that, we can have our content, obviously. Then the reactions. Now here I'm going to talk about only likes, but if you want, you can bifurcate, going like for your own. You can mention that you can, if you are supporting different kind of likes, different kind of reactions, and like count, uh, like heart count, funny count, like whatever different emojis that you support, you can add at that. Other than that, let's say if there's an image, so image URL, if we are going to render the image. So I think these are the different things. Anything else? Anyone thinks like comments also can be there, but we are not, since we are not going to do cover it here. But I'll still mention it. So, reference comments in the comment section. There will definitely be like this will be an array. Comments will be an array. So I'll just mention it here. Comments array. And in that each you can have again the same id author created. I'm not going to write it down, but same things you can cover over there. Anything else that you think I'm missing in the post? No? Okay, let's move ahead. We might need user. You can definitely have the user also. Let's keep it simple. The ID, name, um, profile photo if it's needed. Like maybe if you want to render that, like usually if you see the post, you will see the name and the post, the URL of sorry, the photo of the that person. Maybe some description. Like if you see LinkedIn post, it's like it will show my image, it will show the my name, it will show my description like staff front engineer, whatever I mentioned. That was kind of thing. I think that that should be fine for in terms of our news feed. That should be fine. Otherwise, user can have a lot of data, but for our purpose, this should be fine. And so this is like what we will going to see. But for something that we are going to create, right? New post. We will have content or I think image URL like, or image basically. It will become URL once we put it in our database and we upload it somewhere. But I think content or image should be fine. Anything else you guys think?
So can we attach to the new post user as well?
In new post?
Yeah.
Usually when you make the new post, what do you say, API call, it will have your own authentication token and user metadata available in that, in the call that you make. So ideally, you should rely on that rather than this, because this can be prone to attacks. Someone else can impersonate as some other user. So good call out that user details will be required for new post, but that should be more implicit than explicit.
Okay.
Cool. Anything else? I think for our requirements, which we are post, text, image, infinite scroll, create new post reaction. I think that's more than sufficient. So basically, this is your data model. Okay, this is how you need to define. You need to define the entities and the fields that entities will have. Okay. Now, next, one more thing you should cover when you're discussing about data model is about normalization. Um, how many of you or some is does anyone of you know what is normalization, data normalization?
Yeah, I know a little bit about it.
Yeah,
So
please.
if that response structure will be in deeper, so in depth it go to 3 or 4 level nested structure. So at that time what will we do is, so in the front end, to make it very easy, we will do normalization. So in the sense, so each object will have some ID, so we will take that ID as a key, and we will make it as a flattened structure. So that is called as normalization. So it will usually help if you want to do some operation in the front end, so we can do it very easily.
Yes. That's really good input. Thanks for that. So basically, normalization is needed when you have a lot of, first of all, lot of data, and most of them is like interlinked. Let me give you an example. For example, if we were going to store comments, okay, so and your API response, it will be like post, and in that there will be some data and then there'll be comments, and then in the comments it will be an array, and in that array there will be like okay id, whoever is commented, like author name, and like that it will there will be, and then the content of the comments, right? Like this there will be a lot of data for per post, and in all the different posts also. So like this, there will be like a lot of comments, and for this is for one post, and similarly for multiple posts, there will be a lot of comments. Now, thing is, the ID of the author will be repeating in most of them. The author name will be repeating in most of them. Sometimes, right? It can be the case some person is repeating in all of those. Now, let's say the author updated its name. Let's say it's me. For example, I am using I am seeing my post and I am commenting a lot of posts, and I suddenly change my name. Now in the front end, I will have to go into the nested structure and everywhere update my name. Okay, from the program perspective, from the code perspective, that's how I need to update it everywhere. Okay, and what you can do is normalize this store. Okay, normalize this comments, and you can create one as like authors or users, where you will have the details. It will be an array. And here it will be like id, and then it will have your name and all other information like name. It can be a description, basically, as I told, like one line description that is below your name, and all those data. Okay, so, and here instead of having the author name and stuff, you only have the map. You create this map with this your user id. This actually doesn't exist in your backend. It doesn't come from your backend API. The backend will return in this format only, like ID, author name, and all those stuff. You create the store internally on the UI. Okay, and you create a map between these fields and the comments. And now, if let's say going forward, any author changes his name, it has to be only updated here. And for fetching, it will be just referenced that, oh, for this ID, what is the name? Okay, I'll get this name. It is not to be updated everywhere in the comment section. So for these kind of application where there is a huge complicated data and interlinked data, okay, where some kind of information is getting repeated, and that will be that can be updated, uh, then you should go for normalization. In our particular application, we are not going to cover comments, so I don't think we need normalization. It will be just posts and likes, and I think maybe if you want to do for likes and reactions, totally up to you. Again, it's up to you. You can justify if you need normalization or not. I think it's fine if you don't do, because there is an overhead of creating a separate entity like users and then maintaining the map and stuff. So to me, for this kind of simple newsfeed application, it doesn't make sense. But if you want, you can make a case and you can totally justify it to the interviewer. Totally up to you. I just wanted to discuss this part, that in your client store, basically in your data store, you should mention about the normalization. Okay. Any questions? Anything that you didn't understand? Even in previous sections, we are in data model like RAD. We have covered 3 sections. Any questions, queries?
Apur, this normalization is basically done in the store, right? They
Yeah,
have,
or store, yeah, client store.
okay, all right.
It can be done on backend also. That backend also normalization happens, but we are talking about the front end.
Okay.
This we are doing in our Redux store or something like that. Because I'll tell you one more reason why normalization is needed. Because the APIs that we consume, they are common for different kind of users. Like, not, it's not just our web application that might be using that API. So it's not always possible to get the data in the format that we need. So that's why sometimes we will need to normalize it on our front end. Okay, because that API can be used by lots of different services. So they have to come up with a common structure. They can't be like, okay, oh, you want this specification, so we'll send you like this, or you want this specification, I'll send you like this. They have to keep it generic, common.
I was using TypeScript for this normalized data. I had this very complex data structures. So what happened is I had data, one for the response type, one for the store type, and one for the normalized type, and it all got messed up.
Yeah. Well, good. Okay. Any other questions? Discussion points? Nope. Okay. Cool. I'm not looking at the chat, but I hope no one is. Oh, people are. But I think it's internal discussion. Do we get recording? Let's find out at the end. I'll let you know. I want you to focus as of now. So cool. Okay. So let's now we come to the next section, which is our interface section. So let me add it here. Interface. Yeah, just it's interface. Now, what do you guys understand by interface? Can someone tell me? One, some guess. Someone actually mentioned regarding this when I told I will come back to it later.
So interfaces are basically the APIs which we are going to design for consuming these data models,
Correct,
and based on that, what will be the models and interfaces we are going to create for that.
correct, correct. Anything else anyone wants to add?
The get interface or the post interface
Mm-hmm,
and the user interface like username, description, and preferring URL. I think all
mm-hmm.
this will come under this.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, now let's me talk about it. So yeah, you guys are partly correct that we will be discussing about the APIs, which is like get, post, and how are you going to fetch the post, how are you going to submit the post, and all those things. One thing that usually people miss, and this is specifically for people in front end, that we think of APIs as something that we fetch the data. That's where we use API. API is just an application programming interface. Our components that we are going to define, let's say it will be we will be having some components in our UI, right? Like the feed component or the post component or the anything reaction component. I don't know. We'll define that, but there also we have some props, right? That is also your known as your component API. That is also what you need to discuss here. That this feed. I am going to have a feed component, and these are the props that I'm going to pass to it. Okay, this is the hooks that will be over there. This is also a component API. And even I did the same mistake since long time. I used to understand API matlab kya? It's a backend thing. We have to fetch something from somewhere else, not just backend, from any source. I have to get something, I'll use API. But that is like that's how we are told when we seeing YouTube videos, we are seeing some articles where say, oh, API means backend. But API in general means it's a application programming interface. So for components also, if we have to interface with that application, we have to pass the props. So that also comes under your component API definition. So in your interface section, you need to discuss two things. One is the APIs, the backend APIs, and second is your component APIs. Both the things you need to discuss. Okay, let's first cover the backend APIs. So basically, you will have let's say feed API, for example, or you can call it post API. It's totally up to you. Name doesn't matter. Since you are going to fetch this, what do you think will be the right method for this HTTP method I'm talking about?
Get.
Yep, get should be fine. Sometimes we can do posts. It is that is also fine, but it depends on like uh, how much metadata and stuff we have. If we have too much metadata, we don't want to put it in the URL and stuff. We need our body, so it can be get or post. You can justify your case. Okay, here I'm going to use simple get API, and then your what will be your response. So here you will have like say yeah, wait one more second. What are going to be the params? We didn't discuss that. So before discussing that, we need to discuss one more thing. There are when we have a large set of data like thousands of posts, you will need to do pagination. You can't fetch all of those things together, and there are two ways of doing paginations. Can someone tell me which are those two ways?
Index-based pagination, cursor-based pagination.
Yes. So index based actually more what do you say, general term for it is offset based, and the other one is cursor based. Okay. So can someone tell me what is like offset based and what is cursor based? Let's start with offset based. What is offset based?
The front end can demand to get a set of data, a limit of 50 rows maybe every fetch, but it also gives you an offset like, hey, fetch it from the 50th index or from the 100th index. So even though the API is same, using this parameter, you can fetch some data in the middle of the database.
Correct, correct. So yeah, that's absolutely correct. So pagination, we have our offset based. So basically, here you tell the mm, page number. Okay, basically, give me after this particular uh, item, and then you tell how many items do you want. Okay, so it's the size. Okay, so basically your page is known as your basically offset, and your size is known as the limit. There are multiple names, that's why I'm telling you this so that you remember. You can call it as page, you can call it as slash offset, and this will be size or limit. Okay. These are very general API terms that I'm talking about. So this is one way. Okay, and what is the other one? Cursor based.
In every response, we get the a value which needs to be passed in the next response to get the next set of items.
Correct, exactly. So in every response, you will get some unique ID. That means that this is the last item that you fetch, something like that. Last item fetched ID, some unique ID it will be, and mm, then what you can do is basically you can then tell the size is same. You need to tell what how many items you want to fetch, that is for sure, but your cursor will be your last fetched item ID. Okay, it will be some kind of an identifier that backend will tell you. You don't need to worry, you just need to store it, that okay, now next whenever next time I do a request, I have to tell that give me from here. Okay, so let's now discuss the pros and cons of both offset based and cursor based. So for offset based, let's say what so let's say you have application where you have to use like page number, like one, and then you have to say two, three, and then dot the 10 page, and in between you will give that this and this icon. So now, can someone tell me which one of these is suitable for this kind of an?
I think offset will come where we have grids, and the other one will come like the newsfeed where we can do infinite scroll. So as we usually go to the down, it will call the next batch of data.
Yes. So your answer is correct. Offset based. But why should we use offset based in this?
So one thing that I observed, like when I was working with data, so the when we use cursor based when there was a large amount of data. So if I talk from backend point of view, they were using Elastic because of which it had a limit of only 10,000 responses, right? So when the data was too large that it was coming in more than 10,000, they backend had to shift from offset based to cursor based pagination. At least in my experience from what I've observed, when your page size and data size is small, offset based works better. Yeah, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm. No, thanks for sharing that observation. But I don't think that has to do with choosing offset or cursor, because you can always send the size and limit it. You don't have to always get 10,000, right? You can say I just want 10, I just want 100. So that you have the provision to use size for that. Uh, so I'll tell you what exactly the reason for choosing in this kind of pagination, why we should prefer offset based. Because let's say the user wants to go to fifth page directly. Okay, so I can directly tell that okay, start from the uh, fifth page and give me 10 records in offset based pagination. I can't do that in cursor, because in cursor I always have just the last fetched items ID. So I cannot tell, okay, give me something in future. In offset base, I have like one page will contain this, second page will contain these many items, third page will contain these many items. So I can directly tell, okay, because sometimes in this, let's say it directly clicks three, or let's say we have some more over here. Let's say there is a four and five. The user directly clicks five. So in the offset base, I can give it that offset or page number, that this is the page. And here by default, we will tell them that how many are we defining per 20 per page, or we will have actually a drop down which will tell uh, 20 per page, 30 per page, 40 per page, right? So based on that, offset can be uh, calculated, and then we tell them, give me fifth page with these many items. So that is the reason that we will use offset base in this kind of pagination. Cursor will not have that data. Cursor will only have the last fetch data. So if someone goes to fifth page, how will I tell from where do I need to fetch? So that's why we will use offset base in these kind of pagination. And for infinite scroll, we use cursor base, because we just need to know the last fetch. Now I'm going to scroll, I just need to do the last fetch. And even if I scroll up, I just need to take care of two things: first fetched item, last fetch item, two things. That's all. So even if I do pagination up or down, I just need two data. So that's, I don't need any future data. So that's why offset base is usually used for these kind of pagination, and cursor base is used for infinite scroll. You need to tell this justification very clearly to your interviewer in this interview. These are the things where you shine. Okay. So I hope you guys understood. Any doubts, any questions, clarification?
But in our newsfeed app, I think cursor base will be benefit, right?
Yes, yes.
More-
In newsfeed, it's cursor based. Wherever you are having infinite scroll, it should be cursor based.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. Uh, and okay, I have some output, or in where I will show you how the responses look like basically. So this is for, see, this is the output for the cursor. So this is the response of your cursor based thing. So here you get the page size and the next cursor. So whenever so you have to store this unique identifier, and whenever you make the next call, you have to send this in your API. So this is your cursor based output. Now I'll show you how. This is the offset based, where you have size, you have the page number that you requested, total how many pages are there, and total how many items are there. Okay. So there is also a disadvantage of using offset base. Say, let's say you currently this is your API response, which has total 20 items, and these are the different pages. Your current page 2 and total page are 4. In between, 10 more data got added. Okay, and now if you go to page number 3, but total pages became 6, so you will actually go to the page number 1, and you might see duplicated data. That, okay, I already saw this data, why is it coming now? So let me explain you with proper thing. So let's say you have okay, this example is better. Let's say initial posts, okay, newest to the left, A B C D, and so page 1 will contain A to E. Now new post gets added over time, KLMNO, for example. Okay. Now you request for page 2. It will also contain A to E. It will have O also, but it will also contain A2. Like it will have mix posts. Okay, that's why offset based has its own disadvantages also. Because if your data is frequently getting updated, then also you should avoid offset based. Usually in B2B application, it's not happening, and that's why you will see these kind of pagination only in B2B applications, as far as I have seen in my experience. So if something is frequently updating, use infinite scroll, because in that you will tell this is what I fetched last. So now whatever is new, even if it's there is 100 data coming in between, send me that. So another point to discuss is, if this is frequently updating data, use cursor based.
But it can be handled via backend, right? So whatever they can do in ascending order, right? When the response we get right from
Hmm.
offset the pagination, they
Yeah.
can do it in a ascending order. So we
Hmm.
will get the latest data. I mean, after the, I mean, on the later part, right?
Okay, here, by time you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but still, let's say by time also, this was the latest data, and now few more came, right? Still same scenario.
I have a scenario above. So let's say we are using the cursor base, and initially we fetched first 10 of result, first 10 sets of results, and now while fetching the next 10, there is also a new entry or a new post created. Okay, so the usual implementation would be like get the 11 to 20 sets of result, but now there is a new addition. So how that will be adjusted, like
Hmm. So in cursor, it will be like this was last what I fetched, and when it is going to fetch, it will look into the data. And like this will handle in the back end, but they will look into the data and they will see this was the last. Now what is the next? So even in between, if something gets added, that is the next thing. So
okay,
11:20 earlier was something else. Now it is something else. So it will
okay.
always get the fresh data.
Okay, and how do we handle this on the UI? Like, which protocol should we call, like, to get real-time data or already, like, for
Ah,
example, likes?
for real time, we will discuss going for.
Okay.
And there is one more thing. One more thing I would add to this that also you can mention in your interview that you are on the top of the page and now some new posts are getting added. So you can show an icon like a top icon or something like that, which will indicate to the user that something has been added recently. You might have seen this in Twitter or
Yeah.
Facebook
Yeah,
area.
LinkedIn, we see like new
Uh,
something like that.
yeah, so some kind of UI you can show so that they know there is something new that is there. So that they can click and then it gets auto scrolled, and then you will have your first, just like you have last item fetch, you will have your first item fetch into your cursor. You will send that, and then it will send the about it. So something like that. This is also a very good point to discuss during interviews. Um Okay, so we talked about pagination. I hope I really liked the discussion. I hope you guys got benefit from that. So yeah, we are talking about APIs, actual APIs. So where is that? Hmm. So let's talk about two main APIs. One will be our feeds API. What was I here? So it will be let's say get, and our params will be, you can define in next page also, next params for that will be like your cursor, last item fetched cursor, and the size. This will be your params that you send, and in response what you expect is this is no, not this one, the other one. You do control Z. Yeah, this is what your response should be. So basically, in results you will get like the post details, ID, author, content, if there is an image, reactions, like I told it, likes and haha or like funny, whatever you want to say, created, and then more posts. So you can quickly define this, or you can tell the this will be like post data because you already defined the entities earlier. If you don't want to waste time writing all the thing, you can just say in the result it will be post data, and then you can refer to the post entities which you already would have defined earlier over here. Okay, don't need to repeat. So we don't. One important thing in your system design interview, don't waste time writing or drawing and stuff. More focus on talking. Okay, this all this is, you won't get time. I'm telling you, these are 2 hour sessions. That's why I'm able to do this. Otherwise, it's not possible. So yeah, and the other API that we need to discuss is the yeah. Someone raise your hand. Please go ahead.
Yeah, should we not send user ID here in the get call?
Yeah, we should. But that I actually then it should we should make it post, because ideally those kind of information we should not send in our URL. So yeah, let's make it post. Usually, we'll send the user metadata also.
Yeah, because that's where I think we get the customization maybe.
Yeah, so you will get you'll get the post regarding yourselves only, right? You
Yeah.
should.
So
So user metadata. Thanks for that call out.
But
So let's make it post.
But then,
while making a get call, we'll user metadata can be attached to the
Yeah, by the
caching
headers you're talking about, right?
headers.
Yeah, you can do a headers also, but again, it depends. If it's just an authorization header, fine, it'll work. Again, you can add some custom headers also, but usually, in my experience, the user metadata is large. You have to tell the subscription ID, you have to tell the data center, and all. I mean, there are a couple of things. It depends on application to application. So again, this is fine. Get or post, you can based on your justification, you can tell that I think we should do use post because there'll be more user data, or we can just do the authentication via the headers and we can use get. Totally up to you. Okay. But yeah, this is good that we guys are having discussion. Get post. This discussion also brings lots of points. So I'm really loving this session. Cool. Next, it will be our feed creation, post creation. So create post. Um, one more thing, I don't know if it's getting followed in actual uh, world or not, because I don't see it getting followed. But usually, you should have your API endpoint like post and then says mm, if it's a post API, it's automatically understood it's a post creation API. And if it's a get API, it automatically is understood that's a getting the post API. But what I have seen, even in my actual real life, is like people have endpoints like create post, get post, which is not following the actual uh, rule. No, I won't say rule, but the guidance that people who have defined the REST API has given. So when in your interview, try to use proper. Let's say you will have the endpoint name will be just post, and it's a post request. That means it's a post creation endpoint. Okay. So this is your method. Obviously, it will be post because you have to send data. Now, and in your body, you can send the content. Basically, obviously, user metadata will be there. User metadata. You can tell you are doing header based communication. You don't need to add. That's totally up to you. Content, your user metadata. If there is an image, all those things. So, yeah, I think for us it's simple. It's just these two things. Nothing else we are going to post. Um, so this was simple, and in terms of response, you should get success, and probably the link to that tweet, link to that post, if you can give that. Because sometimes what we do, if you see LinkedIn, because I use it heavily, post created, view post, so that I can immediately click and see the post. So it's a good idea to let's have that response. Here let me call it out. Response. Post creation. So in the response, we should have something like created at, okay, and then type, and then the link to the post, something like that. Uh, Anything else you guys think should be there in the post creation? I think that should be fine.
Why don't we return the actual post, like the particular object of that response created with all its metadata, like reaction? Maybe reaction could be
Yeah,
zero, like
we can have that. We can have that, like the content also. Yeah. We can have the content and also the image URL, because when we upload, it's from our desktop. But
ID.
yeah, post ID.
no, I mean, my question was generally like, should we have this or like, what's your suggestion?
It depends on your application. So let's say if I want to, it depends on actually the product specification. I would say is that, let's say if I am having the creation post creation, and I want to show it in the top, regardless of what where the user is in his current uh, post thing. Okay, because he will already be having a post defined, post list feed defined, and but if it is my product specification that I should show the newly created post on top, then it makes sense to send the content and all. If I don't want to show it immediately, I just want to give it a toast that okay, it is done, you can view post, and then it will, then the user can click and then it will, he will be directed to the post. In that case, no need of content and stuff. It's unnecessary data. So totally depends on the product specification. You can ask this to the interviewer. How do you want to render it?
Understood. Yeah.
Apurv, in the response we get this link, right? So this is some link. So every post is having a unique link identifier. So if there is a case like every time we create, the backend creates this links and stores it as a part of the post metadata, right?
Hmm. Yes.
Okay.
Cool. So
So it should be a part of the post metadata.
post metadata meaning we sending or getting back response.
So every time when a post is created, then a link is created, right? Because that
Yes.
link is
Yes.
used to share the post and everything.
Yes. Yes.
So that link should also be a part of post metadata, right?
Post response, right?
Post metadata. The post itself is having a metadata, right? Like each and every post.
I'm not getting your question. Are you talking about the request or the response?
No, not here. I'm talking about the data model. In the data model, we have the
Oh,
post
okay, 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 okay. Got it, got it. Yeah,
having
yeah.
ID and all everything. So it
Mhm.
should have a link, right?
Yes, yes, yeah. If we were going to implement the share, it would definitely make more sense. But yeah, in this also case, you can add it in. Yeah, yeah. Good, good point. Good point. Good point. Now,
Okay.
I can actually. It can be like a link itself. Post. Yeah. No need to be in the metadata link. Good call out. Thanks for that. Okay, now we are done with the interface part also, and now comes the most interesting part. Oh no, no, wait, sorry. We did not define the component API. It's not a front end system design otherwise if we don't discuss about the components. Uh, yeah, so let's talk about the components API. Okay, so you tell me how should we structure the components?
So in high level, we have a component for feed. So under that, we have a component for each post called post.
Hmm.
And inside each post, we need to have a separate component for reactions, likes, and one more component for comments.
Hmm. We
And
haven't
under
given comments, but yeah, let's talk about it. Yeah.
yeah, so inside that component, we need to have a comment component to
Hmm.
display each comment.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay,
Got it. Got it.
so it will go some nested like structure.
Hmm. Got it. Got it. So yeah, this makes sense to me. Anything else people want to add? We'll define it properly, but in terms of components, anything, any other idea?
A composer also, right?
Correct. This is for showing. Then we have to have a composer.
Virtualizer for the
What should I
list,
say for?
for handling the list.
Yeah, that will be internal implementation. We'll just talk
Okay.
about high level component API. Okay, I think that we are good here. So basically, what we can do, we can have a now. This is very what do you say, subjective thing. Okay, it's not an objective thing. It is up to you how you would like to define the component API. So there are certain bad ways to do it. So don't do that. But there is no definite good way of doing it. So anything is fine as long as you are able to define the props properly and the data flow properly, you are good. Okay, so don't worry much about component API part. Okay, but you need to definitely talk about this because this is the core front end part. So we will have, let's say, our feed component, which will take, for example, posts. Okay, this will be our like very high level, top level component. Okay, and it will take the post data basically as a prop, and then we can have a another component which is composer. So this can be our top level things because everything else will be inside the feeds, and we need composer which is separate. So these can be the two at the top level. And now going inside the or even in composer you can define like let's say the input, like whatever data you want, or you can say just the data, not input. And or you can handle it internally, it's totally up to you. Okay, you don't need to pass it here. You can say in the composer component itself you will handle the inputs and the data. That's totally up to you. That's not an issue. You don't have to talk about internal implementation. You don't have to talk that I'll use an input field, I use the file picker input type file. That alone is not required overall only. So for composer, I think that should be fine. For feed post, we have to again define how are you going to handle posts. So we'll have a post uh, component, for example, and here we will have the ID, um, and then we will have the content, and you can just have like you don't have to say like I have user photo, user description, username. You can just have say, let's say user data. That is it. Internally you can handle that, but you need to tell what and all is required. Apart from that, let's say comments, and reactions maybe, and image. That can be an optional prop. You can mention that if it's there. If it's there, it's otherwise image URL or however you want to do. Because sometimes people store it in blob format and they directly pass the base 64 image data. But I think it's better to do it. Okay. Now that is post. Then we can talk about the comments.
Upper one quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So while feeding components, right? Let's say we have a post component. You pass each and every ID content as a separate prop, right? So that means when the first post is called, you're destructuring this in the feed component. From there, only post is getting called, right? So is this a good idea, or you destructure inside the post? You just send a one prop inside, and inside the post component, you destructure them into ID, content, user data. Which is
That
the
is
right?
also fine. That is also fine. You can do. You can send the entire post data in the post, and then you can do restructuring inside that. But the reason that I am doing this way is that you are able to communicate to the. That's what we actually did for Composer, right? For Composer, I did not define the where we are going to store the data and stuff. So it's
Both ways are correct, right?
sorry.
Just want to make sure, is there any advantage or disadvantage over one?
Uh, no, it's totally up to you. It's very minor thing. There's no advantage disadvantage to that. It's just that here you are communicating to the interviewer that you're thinking about all the things.
All right.
Because if you can say that okay, I will have these many components internally, it will handle all the things. Then what discussion did you have? It's
All right.
like some things we need to do for just to show. Um, if you have less time and you want to skip this part, you can just say that these are the components and you can move forward if you have less time. But I would tell you spend time on this because this is actually the core front end part. So don't skip these things.
Thank you.
Yeah. Comments we are not having, so let's skip this because comments itself will have the nested way of structure. So we can discuss in separate one separate session when we have. And I think then reactions will just have like the number of reactions. Reactions will be like likes, how many likes you have, and haha, haha. That's simple. So this way you can define the component API. This was actually simple. In sometimes in some application we have a little complicated component API. So that is we can discuss at that time. And one more important in this discussion, all these other things are really equally important, and component API is slightly less important because this is an application system design. If we are doing a system design of a component like a drop down or a modal or multi-select or autocomplete, in that case component API will be really the focus of your discussion. Okay, so just keep that in mind because there you have to discuss about theming and a lot of stuff. So yeah, styling and custom styling and I don't know what all lots of like customization. Okay, so I think that's it for the component API discussion. Let's move to the optimization part. Optimization. Okay, and one more thing you can discuss earlier itself, maybe in the architecture, that how are you going to do the infinite scroll? So let's put it here. Infinite scroll. Oh, this one move down now. Move down. Let me try. Hmm. So, infinite scroll. How are you going to do? What are the different ways? Despite we might be going little in depth of implementation, we are crossing that line. But it's definitely good to show that you know different ways of implementing infinite scroll. So, can you guys tell me how would you implement infinite scroll?
Intersection observer.
Intersection observer.
Yes, thank you. Intersection observer. What is the other way? Is there any other way?
By just measuring the client height and height and
Yes. So, but for that, you need to have an um, some event listing. And what would be that? If you guys can tell me.
scroll.
Yes, exactly. Scroll event. So these are the two ways to implement infinite scroll. Okay. Scroll event is not that performant because you're continuously listening for the scroll event, and let's say you have already rendered 100 or let's say 20 for example, and if you are scrolling, in each scroll it is firing an event, and then you have to come again check the height of the client and stuff. So it's not performant, but it is also a way to implement, so you should know about this. So I'll explain that. So that let's say you have this currently you are having 20 posts and you are scrolling. So it will measure the client height. Okay. And then when you cross that certain particular threshold, it will, but all this while it will keep registering that scroll event. The scroll event will keep firing. So that's why it's not a performant way. While as intersection observer depends on the observer pattern, which is like inverts. So when, yeah, in intersection observer, there is a threshold that you can give, an element. Let's say you have 20 divs, for example, and after that 20 div, you will have some a div, like threshold div. Whenever that comes into the picture, at that time, then you can say that okay, now you put the next one. So but there you are not continuously monitoring for it. It's an observer pattern, so that when it comes, it will automatically get informed. So that's why you should ideally use intersection observer, but you should also talk about scroll event. That tells your uh, breadth of knowledge. Okay, so are these two methods clear? Any questions or any more elaboration you guys need on this? I can talk about implementation detail, but that's not part of the system design discussion. That's why I just wanted to mention this overall. Maybe I can have a separate session someday where I can cover how exactly intersection observer works, how is the API, what are the different parameters of it, and how it works. But yeah, in this overall, I just wanted to cover what's the difference. Any questions in this? Nope. Okay, we have a thumbs up. Cool. So okay, I unnecessarily created this much space, but fine. Then in coming to optimization, now one thing that has been being mentioned repeatedly, which is our virtualization. Okay, so who here knows about virtualization? Yes, you have to tell me also. What is it?
So virtualization is a front-end technique where we limit the number of DOM elements uh, through which a post is being loaded. Let's say a user keeps on loading hundreds and 200s and 300s, like that increases the DOM size on the browser. So what happens is there are a lot of repaint will happen when you scroll back, and so if you limit the window like a sliding window, you just keep and just 10 or 20 DOMs. I think Twitter has something around 18. So when these DOM elements will get the content get replaced. So only your virtual users observer window will stay constant. Post will be scrolling across.
Got it. Yeah. So I'll show you that here. I have some samples over here. So in the infinite scroll part, let me refresh this. This is your normal infinite scroll. Okay, just look at the div. Currently, we have loaded, I think, 10 items. That's it, there are 10 items. Now I'll scroll. Loading more, it added few more items. Scroll, it will add few more items. Scroll, it will add few more items. So here we are having reflow every time. The paint is happening again and again. That is one thing. Second thing is the memory, the DOM. See, now there are like 40 elements. Let's see if I keep scrolling, 50, 60, 70, all those elements are getting added. My DOM memory, not DOM memory, my memory of browser memory is getting like loaded with nodes, even which I'm not looking at currently. I'm at my 50th post. Why do I need my 20 post in my DOM? So two reasons for which we go for virtualization. One is the reflow that happens. Let's say if I go and it adds new uh, items here, so that causes the reflow repaint. If you're not aware, just learn about critical rendering path. You will be aware of what is the reflow. It's at the end, and you can even just directly search for reflow. So that is one thing, and second is the memory waste. Okay, so for that we go ahead and we try to implement virtualization. Now what is virtualization? So let me show you that. Let me first refresh. Memory is fine. I think it's this. Yes. So in this, what we have is our virtual list. Okay. So I hope it's visible, right? It's not so small. I'll just zoom in. Yes. No, let me zoom it more. More. Okay, there's too much. Yeah, that's fine. So here, if you see in my virtual list, there are just 12 items. Okay. Now let me scroll. If you see, I am scrolling. I am at my 20th, I think. Or let me just go. See, I am keep on scrolling, but in my DOM, there are just those 12 nodes. So what is this happening is that we are saving on the memory of the DOM and also not causing reflow. We are just updating the current nodes. The nodes that are existing, we are just updating the data. So that is what is known as reach virtualization. I hope that is understood. Any questions here? Good thumbs up, thumbs up. Yeah, good thumbs ups. And ideally, what you should do when you're describing virtualization is that you can tell that we will keep 20 nodes, 20 posts in our memory, and 10 for buffer. So let's say if user is seeing the post number 11 to 20, and now if he crosses that 11 to 10 or 9, at that time, whenever he is in the buffer post, we will recycle the bottom 10 nodes. Okay, so at a time you will have only 40 nodes, 40 posts or 40 DOM nodes in your uh, tree, in your DOM tree. And as and when the user is scrolling up or down, we will recycle those DOM nodes. So we'll take it from the top and add it to the bottom. Just that's how you can explain that to the interviewer. Okay. So yeah, that is what is your virtualization, and this is the optimization technique that you need to talk about. If you are discussing news feed and if you don't talk about virtualization, trust me, if your entire interview has went well but you didn't talk about virtualization, gone. Yeah, there is no point of entire 50 minutes of interview. This is the key thing that you need to talk about. Okay, and I would also encourage you guys to implement this on your own, use AI or whatever, just to understand how actually it works. But this is a good question for your machine coding round also. Okay, so definitely know how to implement infinite scroll using both scroll event and intersection observer, and know how to implement virtual scrolling also. Okay, really important for not just for it, definitely not for system design but for your other rounds. So, uh, cool.
Apurv, one question.
Yeah, yeah.
Can we do searching in virtual scrolling?
When you do searching is search. Sorry, very good question. You can. So what will happen is your API will return whatever the, let's say it matches 10 posts, then your DOM node will be populated with those 10 nodes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it will still apply. Let's say if you have 60 results, then your DOM
Mhm.
node will be populated only with 40 results, something like that. That you need to handle. How we are
Mhm.
going to. So you will have to store. Let's say your API, you do search. API returns 60 results. Then you have to store those 20 results. You have to store all the 60 and just show 40. And whenever
Yeah.
the user scrolls, you need to update those 20. So yeah, very good question. Though. Very good question.
About I've done this initially with the front end, the sorting and searching, right? It was very slow, so we moved the sorting and searching to backend server side sorting. Then the virtualization just was good.
Hmm. Got it. Got it. And also you if the sometimes what happens is you can move it to web worker, the sorting and searching, if you want to do it on client side, which is not something that I would advise. But I have done this in Walmart where there was some limitation because of which backend couldn't do it. God knows what was the limitation, I tried to understand, but anyways they told you have to do it on front end, and front end was getting lagged. It was like actually getting stuck. So then we moved that logic to web worker, and then it worked fine. So in case you have to do sorting, filtering, searching on your front end itself, then go ahead and do spin up a web worker and do it on that. If you're not aware of web worker, just search about it. It's a simple API. It's just you can run your JavaScript on a separate thread, not on a main thread, and you can communicate between those two main thread and the worker thread using post message API. Okay, so now what other optimizations should we talk about? Tell me. This was the main one. Definitely, even if you talk about just this one, it's fine. But what else should talk about?
So we need to consider image, how
Yes.
we need to load the image. So if the size is huge, So how we can show the user so better user experience.
Amazing, amazing. Yes, we definitely need to talk about image rendering. Uh,
And lazy loading.
Lazy loading, yeah, in image for sure. Yes, we can do. Let's say if there is a carousel of images, we can do lazy loading. Yeah, yes. Why is it? What is happening?
Will CDN come in this?
It can, yes, we can discuss about CDN also in this. Yes, CDN will definitely play a good role in image rendering. So rendering image. Okay. So the first thing that we need to think is that we should definitely leverage a CDN, because it's what definitely what a CDN is that it is an sort of an origin server basically. So your data will be stored wherever it can be, but it is to be served via the CDN. It's like a dummy server. You ask something and it gives something. Our normal servers are like, if you send a post request, it will do some processing. It will reach out to the database. It will give us. It will do some processing on that data that it gets from database and then it sends it back to the UI. That's our normal server. Your CDN you can consider as like a dummy server. Anything that you can ask and immediately get. Any kind of static assets like image, like JavaScript bundles, like HTML pages, or anything like that. So you can leverage CDN for that. So it will be very fast for you. So instead of putting it in your database or in a normal server, you should host your images in your CDN. Okay. So first of all, leverage the CDN for faster loading performance. Second, use modern image formats. Anyone aware of a very good modern image format that is used for?
WebP.
WebP.
Yes, exactly. WebP is the one, because usually the user will upload in JPEG, PNG, or those kind of stuff. But you should internally convert and optimize it in WebP and render it in WebP. Again, you have to make sure you're not losing any quality. Okay, uh, because user experience is the most important thing. If you're losing quality, you should definitely render it in the same format that it came. So but ideally you should use WebP. And second thing, your image should always have an alt attribute. In case you are not able to load, it should show that what that image was. Now who is this for? Like what part of non-functional requirement does this cater to? The alt text.
For slow internet.
No, non-functional requirements.
If
Which
the
one?
image is
Script.
not loaded, then probably alt will be rendered.
Yeah, yes, but
Accessibility.
accessibility,
Yeah.
exactly. Accessibility. So the user, so let's say people who are not able to view your image, view your website, even if the image is loaded, still they can't see, right? So, but the alt image will tell them what the image was. So, for accessibility purpose, you have to do the alt image. You provide alt attribute.
SEO also.
For SEO also, correct. For SEO, yes, good point. So, whenever you are discussing non-functional requirements, always discuss them at the end of the interview. Last 5 minutes. Do not the focus of the interview, but don't just randomly mention accessibility, internationalization, and all those things. What particular thing about accessibility is applicable to this application? So the image part is applicable. Okay, so those you need to talk about. If you have time, talk more about ARIA attributes and stuff. If you have time, um, but otherwise, at least the most important thing in this, I would say, the most important thing is the image part, which will help in accessibility. So discuss about that. Don't just randomly say, yeah, we have to take care of accessibility. That is, random things won't help. Be specific. Again, this separates you from senior staff. Okay. um, so then you can talk about internationalization. Again, I'm deviating from the rendering image part, but I'm just telling you. Here, I don't think it is applicable actually for creation of posts. We write from left to right, but there are certain regions where they write from right to left, and there are some Chinese, or I don't know what kind of, I would say Chinese region. I would say they write from top to bottom. Okay, so does your editor, the composer, um, take care of it. So you should say, yeah, we should take care of it. We should take care of this non-functional internationalization care, where we have to allow them from writing from right to left languages and also top down languages. You can mention that. Again, be specific for your use case. Don't just randomly say internationalization. We'll do date and numbering, because date formatting also comes in here. Number formatting also, currency formatting also comes here. But date currency is not applicable for our application. Creation of post and even rendering of post is applicable. Even rendering should be happening from right to left for these guys. So you can mention these part. Now coming back to the image discussion, are you aware of source set, SRC set? Anyone?
It's used for responsive images.
Yeah, prefetch or
Yes. So basically, whenever you get an image, you should create different versions of that image, which are optimized for different kind of networks or different kind of devices. So then, for the desktop, you should have the highest resolution for tablet, little low for mobile phone, little even less, more optimized for phone. So you can provide a source set in your image that the different image in that there will be different sources basically. So based on the device, you can then render that accordingly. Okay, that's another optimization you can do. And then the lazy load, lazy loading you can do. Now earlier we used to do it explicitly, but now image HTML tag itself has that lazy thing. So again, you should use this very carefully. If it's the first image, I would say don't use lazy loading, because it should immediately appear. But if it's a carousel of images and the next images obviously will be rendered when the user clicks on the next button, or the next whatever icon it is there, then they can be lazy loaded. So again, you can talk about this during your discussion. Okay, how will you use the lazy loading for that? One more thing, in terms of optimization, I would say, okay, this is done in rendering images. I am done. Anything if you want to add, I may have missed, or there's some other perspective, let me know for images. Okay, one more optimization technique is the optimistic update. Anyone aware what is this?
So in this, what we do, from what I remember, is like we make the API call, right? And then we show the user, like if we have created something, we append it to the list, and we hope that it success. But if it does not, in the next refresh, we update it with the data from the backend. If I'm not wrong.
Yes, partly correct. So yeah, we what do? We send the API. We don't wait for the response. We directly show the user that this got posted. But we don't wait for the refresh. We just, once the API response is there, and if it did not successfully get updated, we remove that. So yeah, that really good point. So we have to use optimistic updates. That's again, it's up to you. You can tell that we can choose to use this. It depends on if our system is resilient, like to any outages. Then we should definitely go for optimistic updates, so that we are sure that out of 199 posts will definitely get successfully added. Then you should go for optimistic. If the system is not resilient, or it's not possible to make the system resilient, then don't go for optimistic update. So I'll show you that, what is optimistic update. So here there is some tweet. Okay, I'll add testing one. So I will say post tweet. So it will immediately show you. Okay, it will immediately show you. And let's say if I say testing two, this is post that will fail. It will immediately show and it will remove. Some will consider this as a bad user experience. I personally consider this as a bad user experience, unless you can't guarantee me that 99% or 99.99% of the post will get successfully submitted. I would not go with this kind of UX personally, because I am showing the note what's done. The user is happy, and suddenly, oh, where is it gone? So for me personally, I don't like this user experience unless you can guarantee me the resilience of the system, backend system. But yeah, this is one thing that is you can talk about optimistic updates. I hope that it was clear with this example. Where was I? Okay. What else? What other optimization you guys want to talk in the? We have the last 5 minutes. I think I covered the ones that I majorly wanted to, but if any other optimizations you want to talk about,
How do we check the real-time updates?
very good point. I completely missed it. See, that happens actually in real interview also. This happens. So, if we are talking about reactions and stuff, okay, and also posts, even posts, because if you are having a news feed, it is a good social network site where lots of people are going to post together, and they are going to comment and they would react. So, what are the different ways of real time updates? What do real time?
Buckets.
Right?
WebSockets.
WebSocket.
Short polling, long polling.
Short polling, long polling, yes. Yeah, let's talk about each of them. Real time updates. Actually, this is more important. Okay, I forgot about it. Thanks for remembering. Yeah, more than rendering images and actually, first thing you should talk about is virtualization. Second is this in terms of priority for this question. Okay, then rendering image, then optimistic image. I don't know why I forgot this. So yeah, people mentioned WebSockets, real polling, long polling. Anything else?
SSE.
SSC.
Yes, server sentiments. Okay, so now let's talk about all of these, and then we'll see which one is the perfect one for this. So,
Subscribe.
sorry,
GraphQL subscribe.
graph
Graph.
subscribe. Okay, GraphQL subscribe. Okay, yeah, that is also that is in case if we choose GraphQL. Here, since we are going with REST, we did not discuss that actually because it was not. Not bad, but not particularly useful for this scenario. But if you did have to discuss, if you do discuss GraphQL and you want to use GraphQL, if you can make a case for it, justify for it, then yes, the GraphQL subscribe is one thing. Yeah. So yeah. So short polling. So can someone tell me what is short polling, long polling? I can guarantee most of the people won't know because even I didn't know until a couple of years. So it will be really good.
Okay, short polling is something that it will be sent, for a specific threshold regularly. Long polling is something it will be sent, but it will wait until the new result will be fetched and then returned. So
Exactly.
that's the difference.
Yeah, thanks for that explanation. So basically, short polling is like polling in general is basically you keep asking the server, is it ready? Is it done? Is it done? Is it done? It's like that. That's what polling is. Now there are two kinds of polling. Short polling where you send a request. If the server says it's not ready, it's not ready. That's all. You again after a couple of seconds you can send. And there is another way of short polling, which is like exponential back off. So basically, you will do first poll in immediately, obviously. Then for the next poll, you will take 5 seconds. Next poll, you will take 10 seconds. For next poll, you will take 20 seconds. This is known as your exponential back off. And after 40 seconds, you will not do. So you back off. You said, okay, now I will not do. So first poll will go, then after 10 seconds, second short poll request, 20 seconds, then 40 seconds, and then you don't poll at all. You give up, okay, that server is not responding or it's not ready. Something failed. So that's what is known as exponential back off, and it is usually used with polling. Another is long polling, which is like you send a request, the server will hold that request until the thing is ready, but it will not forever hold. It will create a timer in its backend. So I'll tell you where this is useful. Short polling is useful when you don't know when the thing is ready. Long polling is useful when you know that, okay, my report, let's say I'm generating a report and it's taking some time, this will be ready within 10 seconds, I'm aware. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll create a long poll, and then the server will hold that request for 10 seconds timeout. It will have a own timeout. Either if the thing is generated, it will send that request, send the response, or if 10 seconds is done, then it will send, okay, it is not ready. Then the client again creates a poll, again the server holds for 10 seconds, and if it's ready it will send, otherwise not. So this is your long polling. It will
So
be.
one,
Hmm.
yeah. So if we are, I mean, suspecting definite about the time, right? 10 seconds. So why not short polling? Because if we use long polling, right, then our HTTP thread will be blocked for that amount of time, right? We cannot
Correct.
do any other extra request. If we are sure about, I mean, 10 to 12 seconds, the request is going to fulfill. Why not short polling at that particular interval? And just because we will get some time to do extra requests, right?
Good,
The
good
thread is
question.
not blocked.
Good question. See, let me reframe that. So if we are sure about not exactly 10 seconds, but a range of seconds. Let's say I know it will get generated between 10 to 12 seconds. I'll tell you why. Because it depends on the data. Let's say if a customer has, I'm giving you one example of generating report. If a customer has uh, less data, it will take 10 seconds. If a customer has lots of data, it will take 20 seconds. So I know the range of seconds. 10 to 20 seconds. Then I'll go for long polling. Because if you do short polling again for 20 seconds, you are doing for, let's say, each second or every 2 seconds, you are doing short polling. So I hope that it makes more sense now.
Yeah.
Good. So thanks for that because I need to give the example properly. Thanks for bringing that. Then server sentiment is there, where let's say you have something like a live cricket app. Okay, quick buzz. So the score will keep updating very frequently. So you use server sentiments. So it is a unidirectional connection from your server to, obviously client initiates it, and now server will keep sending the data. There is no time or nothing like that until the connection closes. Then the user closes the application, the connection is there, and the server will keep sending data to the front end. This is required in case of something like live score, where you need to get continuous update from the backend. Then comes WebSockets. WebSocket is like your bi-directional communication. Chat application is one. Okay. This our streaming, this call, this Google Meets. I mean, it has video, so it will have something else also. But here I'm doing a live communication, and you are communicating with me in live. So WebSockets can be used. I don't know if it works for voice or not, but I'm just giving an example. Let's say this was a chat. So basically, real-time bi-directional communication.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think for voice they uses WebRTC.
WebRTC, yeah, correct.
Voice.
Web, it will be WebRTC, yeah, correct. So that is there. So yeah, WebSocket is for like real-time bi-directional communication, not just server to client, client not just client to server. It's both sides. So what do you think is applicable in our case based on all these things that we discussed?
I
Short
think
poll.
server side events, because we would just need to get the updated data as and when it comes from the backend, right?
So you are saying which one?
Server side events, right, where we get the data from backend. Because like you mentioned in starting, now we have to show something like the when LinkedIn shows there are some new posts or something like that. So we won't be always opening it, because in that case, what will happen is whenever there is a new data, backend will inform the UI for the same. Where it does not need to keep open a two-way system there.
Okay, okay. Anyone else? Thanks for the input. Very good explanation. Anyone else? Any other
And
thoughts?
I think because we need to be continuously getting update from other users, so like new post and all. So server side events makes sense.
Okay, okay. Anything else? Any other? Okay, so I think server side event is what you're talking about, right? So, but here one thing you guys are forgetting is that we are also creating posts. We are also liking. We can also comment. So it is a bi-directional thing, right? I am going to create comment. I am going to create a post. It has to get updated real time to the other user. That is also a part. So for Dread reason, according to me, it has to be WebSockets because I'll be liking, I will be creating post. So WebSocket is what makes sense. And actually, Facebook, as far as I'm aware, uses WebSockets. But for certain scenario, maybe you can use a combination of it. You for these the updates thing that someone mentioned, right? Very accurate use case that if you want to show updated posts, you can use SSE. Or even long polling should be fine. But yeah,
It works for notification as well.
yeah,
Yes.
the notification system. Yeah, correct. Notifications you can use. Any unidirectional communication from server to client, you can use SSE. All these use cases. Yes.
Apurva, I have a doubt like short polling, long polling, whenever uploading the post, right? It takes some time, so we get the feedback whether the post is updated or not. I get it, like, but how come short polling and how long polling falls under the real time update?
It does, right, because you keep asking and it tells you in real time.
Okay.
So it does come in real time. It's just that
Oh,
it is resource heavy,
huh.
but it is real time.
Because I'm little confused comparing short polling, long polling with WebSockets and server-side events. I feel
Hmm.
like they don't fall under the same category, maybe, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. See, in a way, the way you are explaining even I can think that okay, maybe it's not actually real time, but those are how before SSE, before WebSockets, this is how real time used to happen.
Oh, got it.
That's why they
Oh,
are part of real time. It might not seem now, but yeah, it is like that.
oh, got it. Thanks.
Okay. So yeah, WebSockets is what I would recommend, and that's my reasoning for it. I told you my reasoning. So you again, someone can the reason for SSE. That's what I'm saying. System design is not one answer. There are 10 different ways to design it. As long as you can justify it to the interviewer, it's good. Okay. Anything else? I think we are over time, but I hope we covered almost everything which was important. Uh, where did we go? Yeah. And thanks for the real time updates one. I almost forgot about that. Uh, so, anything else particular you want to know about newsfeed system design that I may have missed or some additional thing? Okay, I think we are good. And I really like this session. Out of all the sessions that I've taken till now in last 3 to 4 years, this is the most engaging session. So thanks a lot for participating. This makes me want to take more sessions. If it's going to be this engaging, I don't need your money. I just need a intellectually stimulating session. Okay, I like to teach. That's why I teach. But this is what I like, and a discussion, not a lecture. That's what I want. So I'm going to keep doing this session. This was just first one because I actually created a poll on LinkedIn. I don't know if you're aware, and newsfeed was the most voted for. That's why I did this. And I am going to cover certain system design, and this is the easiest one I'm talking about. Okay, actually, this is one of the easiest one. There are like something like um, what do you say, text editor, live collaboration, and a lot of them which are really complicated, and I really want to cover those, which might not be completed in 2 hours. Also, it might take two couple of sessions. So I'll come to that also. So, but I'll start with little easier ones, and even in these easier ones, you will get to know something different. I'm sure. Uh, uh, so I hope you guys enjoyed the session. One request is that please leave a feedback on a testimonial on TopMate if you like this session. I already see Nikhil, you have already posted, so thanks for that. Just that's it. That's all that I expect from you. Nothing else is what I want. Yeah.
Thank you, Apur. It was very exciting to, for the future sections. Looking forward. Thank you.
Most welcome. Most welcome.
Thanks, Apur. It was very intuitive session. Please keep doing it.
Yes. For sure.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thanks.
much.
Thanks, Apur.
Thanks, Apur.
Welcome. Yeah, regarding recording, I did record this, so I will hopefully post it in my YouTube.
Sure. Can we cover